we going?
Yeah.
Welcome in to I Remember My First Time. Oh, don't be nasty, Jacob. Not that first time.
Damn it.
This is a podcast about cinematic awakenings.
I like the sound of that.
Where we talk about movies we love with someone who just popped their cherry to that movie.
Oh my God, yes.
Jacob, are all the movies we do on this podcast going to be good movies?
God, I really hope not.
Do we like shitty movies?
We love shitty movies. Sometimes even more than good movies.
Are we critics?
Absolutely not.
But do we love movies?
Oh, we love the shit out of movies.
So what cinematic masterpiece is on tap for this week?
We have the 1993 Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, Last Action Hero. BJ, I thought I was going to die.
Well, sorry to disappoint you. You're going to live to enjoy all the glorious fruit life has to offer. Acne, shaving, premature ejaculation, and your first divorce. I am BJ Leica, and I'm also a cartoon cat.
Joined as always by me, lover of snakeskin boots, Jacob Beakus. So, since you're a cartoon cat, does that also mean Danny DeVito is talking through you?
Do I sound like Danny DeVito?
No, but Danny DeVito played the cartoon cat. Did you know that in this movie?
I did not. The cat didn't have a ton of lines.
He did not have a ton of lines, and you couldn't really tell it was Danny DeVito. But I love that Arnold and him got another screen time in just for a little bit after Twins.
Yeah. And then that was a nod, right?
Yeah.
DeVito did it to help out
Arnold. There are so many nods in this movie. It was fucking ridiculous.
So, we have Last Action Hero, described by Netflix as, and this is really good, with the help of a magic ticket, a young film fan is transported into the fictional world of his favorite action film character.
Perfect. That's exactly what this movie is.
Yeah, and if that sounds dumb,
don't watch it.
It's because this is a satire. It's supposed to be dumb.
Yep. And awesome.
You think it's awesome. The audiences did not. 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Which isn't horrible.
39% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's horrible.
And 44% on Metacritic.
Jeez. Is that our lowest Metacritic score?
No, Batman and Robin was lower.
Okay. That's fair.
Sorry, Arnold.
Batman and Robin was a bad movie.
This is much better.
This is our first Arnold movie.
No, Batman and Robin.
No. Batman and Robin's a Batman movie, even though Arnold had top billing, doesn't make it an Arnold movie.
Yeah, and the only Batman movie that is the movie of an actor is Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's a Heath Ledger movie.
Right.
But Batman and Robin was not a Schwarzenegger movie.
What do you think Roger Ebert thought of Last Action Hero?
I think he enjoyed it, but I don't think he gave it a thumbs up, but I don't think he gave it a thumbs down. And I don't really know how that works on the 4-star scale.
Well, 3 and above is a thumbs up.
Okay.
He gave it a 2.5. So you nailed it.
Okay.
He did not think this was a bad movie at all. He really liked what they were going for with the satire. He enjoyed the imagination of a young man in film. He liked that they brought up his famous talking killer fallacy. He loves when people make fun of that.
Yep.
Because he makes fun of it all the time. But I think it can best be reviewed by his last couple sentences here. For all of its sensational stunts and flashes of wit, The Last Action Hero plays more like a bright idea than like a movie that was well thought out. Maybe younger viewers around the age of the young hero will identify more with it. I was a tad disappointed.
Okay. That kind of sounds like you talking to you today. Because the first time I saw this movie, I was about Danny's age, and this movie rocked my fucking world.
Oh, I can imagine for a young boy, this is awesome.
Well, and especially a young boy that loves movies as much as Danny did in this movie. Because I was all about movies at that age.
Loves them and understands enough to get the satire.
Yeah.
So you can't be too young. Like a 7-year-old, 6-year-old.
No.
Probably wouldn't work, but 10 to 15, 10 to 14, wheelhouse movie for that.
Yep.
But yeah, I quite agree with Roger. I liked the satire of it. It wasn't fully over the top satire like you think of with the earlier satirical movies, Search for the Holy Grail. What's the Western one? Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
It's not as
Scary Movie.
Yeah, that's a newer one, but those are pure comedies. This one, it's making fun of action movies, and it has awesome action in it.
Incredible action. Incredible one-liners.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that they're, like, some of the one-liners are bad on purpose.
One of my favorites, it opens the movie. You want to be a farmer? Here's a couple acres. As he
just kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah.
And it also has the thing I love in Schwarzenegger movies, where this giant Austrian guy has the most American name of all time. And no one brings up the accent.
No. Jack Slater. That's a good name.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. Box office wise, I wouldn't say it did horrible, but everything that I've read online says it did horrible. And I'm going to assume it has to do with how big the budget was. So in 1992, it was an $85 million budget. Today, that's $174 million on the budget.
Ooh.
Its opening weekend, it did 15.3. So 31.4 today. Worldwide gross, $137 million to that $85 million budget. $280 million today.
So they must have had like a huge marketing for this movie for it to be a failure, making that much money.
I think so.
Okay.
I found this on IMDb. One major reason for this movie's box office failure was the unforgiving process needed to have it ready for the studio mandated June 18th, 1993 release date.
Summer blockbuster.
Yep. Which left almost no time for follow-up editing or fine-tuning after a disastrous May 1st sneak preview. There were discussions about the movie, about moving the release into July or August of 93, especially when Universal deliberately chose to open Jurassic Park on June 11th. But it was decided that doing so would turn off potential moviegoers. When this movie was released and received widespread criticism, an anonymous movie worker said, "We shouldn't have had Siskel and Ebert telling us the movie is 10 minutes too long."
Siskel and Ebert both liked it more than most of the other critics.
Yeah, I mean, the important part of this little bit of trivia was it came out the week after Jurassic Park.
And when your core target audience is clearly young boys, they're watching Jurassic Park.
Yes. Multiple times in theaters.
Yes. And if they've got the choice, maybe not you might be the exception, but 90% of them are choosing Jurassic Park.
I would have been the exception, but Jurassic Park was what Planet of the Apes was back when it came out originally. When kids first saw Planet of the Apes and they saw all those monkeys and everything, it was like, oh my God. And that's what Jurassic Park was in 93. And this wasn't beating that.
No. But, however, I did read somewhere, I don't know where, maybe Wikipedia or something, the VHS sales really turned this movie around and actually made it not the full-fledged disaster that it was thought of.
Well, I couldn't find VHS sales and DVD sales, but you're right. This is a certified cult classic.
Yeah. And I see why. You didn't get satire movies like this at this time.
No, I think this was the first one. With my trivia research, this was ahead of its time. Scream gets all the credit for being the satire of the horror movie genre and the first quote-unquote one that did it. But this is the one that did it first. People had just got done watching 2 decades of action movies and 2 decades of explosions and one-liners and everything. And then all of a sudden, the number one action movie star in the entire world is making fun of the genre. I think it upset people because I think people didn't get the satire.
It's been a while since I've seen Scream, but in my head, it's done a little better, a little cleaner than this movie.
It's been a while since I've seen Scream 2, but I'm going to say no because I think this movie's fucking amazing.
So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit and kind of went off of my review because it was very similar to Roger Ebert's. What did you think of it?
Amazing. The last 45 minutes, when they enter the real world, as much as I like a lot of stuff in the last 45 minutes, you had the Schwarzenegger playing chicken with the Asian bodyguard, and you had him trying to shoot the gun to explode the car. You had Benedict shoot someone and then yell that he just murdered somebody.
Hey, shut up down there.
There was a lot of good stuff in the second half, but I really feel like the second half fell off. Before the second half showed up, I was rating this movie a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
So I'm not going to give out my final rating until the end of the pod.
I will say, once they entered the real world, my rating slowly started to tick down and down as well. And like you said, I did enjoy some of it. When he broke his hand smashing the window and was like, oh, that hurts.
Yep.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and then when Danny's holding on for dear life on the side of that building, like he doesn't feel as comfortable reaching for Jack Slater because this is real. Yeah. We're not in a movie. And so there were a lot of things that I liked about it. It didn't even hold a candle to the first hour and 15 minutes.
It almost would have worked better in reverse.
Yeah.
If you kind of get the real world stuff out of the way and then go into the action movie.
And I don't know how you do that, but you're right. It would have been better if it was reversed. What did you like about the movie?
The satire was phenomenal. I thought Schwarzenegger was very funny in this movie.
Oh, Schwarzenegger, like Stallone, is very underrated in his acting. He doesn't do it a lot, and he's not as good as Stallone. I think Stallone's a better actor.
But Schwarzenegger's funnier than Stallone.
That's what I was just about to say. Schwarzenegger has better comedic timing. He's funnier. He really just nailed it in this movie.
I think the accent helps the humor, too.
Yes.
Because, like I said, he's legitimately funny in this movie.
Yes.
All the action tropes that they were making fun of.
Uh-huh.
The nods, Stallone in Terminator 2 on the poster.
The E.T. scene.
Oh, love the E.T. scene. Jay and Silent Bob did that too. E.T. scene.
Yeah. This is a movie. There's no unattractive women here. We're all the unattractive women. We're in California. Just even the non-action tropes were amazing.
Yeah.
What else did you like?
I enjoyed the kid going into that world and the way he reasoned it. The kid left a little bit to desire, but I liked the idea of the kid was better than the acting of the kid. And I hate doing that with child actors. It's hard. Being a child actor is very hard. Being an actor is hard. Asking a child to do it is really, really difficult.
I'm going to disagree. I thought he did a great job in this movie.
Okay.
I enjoyed him as a kid. I will say that you probably would have enjoyed this movie more had Macaulay Culkin played Danny. And he was actually in mind to play it, but he had to decline because he was making The Good Son and another movie I can't think of right now.
Yes, would have been better. Yeah, because Macaulay Culkin, very good child actor.
Yes, I enjoyed the child actor. But I guess I see what you're saying, but also at the same time, I don't. Like, I'm just going to have to accept that that's how you feel.
Sure.
Yeah.
What didn't you like about it?
The second half. I've already said that I like things about the second half. It left me desiring more because the first hour and 15 minutes was so good.
You know, another thing with it, I liked it much more when the magic ticket didn't mean anything. When the magic ticket meant something, it kind of lost me a little bit. Like, it lost kind of that satirical edge because I thought that was just kind of a cute thing that they spent 3 minutes explaining, and boom, now he's magically into this movie. It's awesome. But then when it comes back and the movie ticket's a player, now you have stakes. Now there's actually something they're going for.
Yeah, but
the tone didn't match up.
There has to be stakes in every movie. Like, speaking of Macaulay Culkin, there were stakes in The Page Master.
There's no stakes in Blazing Saddles. There's no real stakes in
Blazing Saddles. They had to beat the bad guys.
Yeah, but you knew it was going to happen because it was a satire. Satires don't need stakes.
You knew it was going to happen in this movie.
Holy Grail didn't have stakes.
That's true. But it's an action movie. Action movies have stakes.
Okay. All right. We'll agree to disagree on these minute details.
Okay.
One thing I do want to know, what part of this movie, whether it was a line, a stunt, or something, made you laugh more than you should have laughed? Not a whole scene, just a little snippet.
It was when Schwarzenegger, Jack Slater, was at the funeral, and he was trying to figure out how to get Leo the fart out of the funeral. And so he leaned down and he goes, "I'm alive, get me out of here. Oh my God, this man's alive." And he just picked him up. I thought that was so fucking funny.
That was good. Mine was when he shoots the guy in his closet when he enters his shitty apartment. And then he opens the apartment door, and it's just the same wardrobe.
Yes.
It's just 8 of the same jacket, 12 of the same shirt, 10 of the same pants, and 4 of the same boots.
Yes.
Made me laugh so hard, and it should not have made me laugh that hard.
So speaking of that scene making you laugh, before I ask you the question, I also love the fact that being a movie star police officer, his apartment was a mattress laying on the floor, like all action police officers have.
Yeah, it's the divorced guy's apartment.
Yes.
The divorced man's apartment.
So since that scene cracked you up, did you enjoy when his daughter showed up in his monster truck with a pair of clothes for him?
Yes, of course. Of course.
I think we already talked about what we liked about this movie, but I'm just going to say that I love the action. The action was incredible.
Yes, yeah. Anytime action doesn't take itself seriously, it's so much better.
Yes, 100%. And it was amazing. Loved every bit of it. Was it a good or bad movie, BJ?
Ooh, this is the hardest I've had to think about this. It's a satire, so it's not going to win an Oscar, right?
No. In fact, it won a Razzie Award for Worst Movie of the Year.
Oh, this was way better than that.
100% agree.
That's really unfair.
I think the Razzies get too trigger happy with what's going to be the worst movie.
And I don't know much about the Razzies, but I think it probably suffered from Waterworld syndrome, where when a movie has a huge budget and is really pushed in the marketing and everybody talks about how great it's going to be, and it's just kind of pretty good, people think it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it's not. Then again, I don't know how the Razzies work, so.
I don't either, but I just feel like they're too trigger happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems unfair for this movie.
So, good or bad movie? Coming from the animated cat.
Despite it showed my people, the animated cats, I think it's a bad movie.
Really?
I think it's a bad movie, yeah.
Okay. This is a good movie. It's okay that you're wrong.
It's a very good bad movie.
I can accept that. And honestly, that's probably more accurate. It's a good movie because I love it so much, but it is a good bad movie.
Yes.
I'm going to agree with that.
It is
but
a very good bad movie.
I'm still going to stand by the fact that I think it's a good movie because it's incredible.
Okay. All right.
We've already touched on the movie-related talk a lot. Or why don't you tell the listeners what our movie-related talk is?
The perfect movie for 12-year-old boys. I'm assuming that's about the age you fell in love with it. You love this movie. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you love movies that are specifically targeted for 12-year-old boys?
In order for preteen boys to really like a movie like this, it can't take itself too seriously. It's got to be fun. It's got to be funny. It's got to have a really good-looking chick in it. And it does all of those things. And even when it gets serious at the end of the movie, as much as I didn't like the second half of this movie or the last 45 minutes, it never got too serious.
I can understand that.
It got just serious enough. You need all those things for preteen boys to really enjoy the movie because it has to start strong, and it does. Oh, Schwarzenegger walking on the hoods of the cars in his rattlesnake skin boots, throwing the bat at his boss. You go in there, it's your badge, Slater.
Yeah, the anxiety-inducing sergeant, whatever he is, I don't know.
Yep. And then Schwarzenegger just doing his thing. So yeah, you need those things for preteen boys to really like it. Like, it can't take itself seriously. It's got to be funny. It's got to have crazy action that's off the wall.
And it's got to relate to the preteen as well.
Yes.
And it has the main character as a preteen.
Yes. I already brought up Pagemaster. Pagemaster is another great for preteen boys. Home Alone.
Yes.
Home Alone 2.
Rookie of the Year.
Richie Rich.
Yep.
The Kid with Bruce Willis. All these are great movies for 10 to 15-year-old boys.
And maybe because we're not looking for those movies, I don't know if there's a lot of those movies being made anymore.
I don't think so. You really just get animated movies or not.
Right.
You don't get those movies anymore.
Well, and now because there's so many superhero movies, they probably don't think they need to have the preteen movie.
And they're kind of doing it with the Marvel movies, like with the last 2 Thor movies. I feel like they're trying to reach that audience with how
silly.
Yeah, which doesn't really hit like these movies do.
Right, and like I said, you don't have that preteen lead character.
Yes,
like you do in a lot of the movies we mentioned.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. Maybe Stranger Things is their thing now.
Oh, other good ones, Big with Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
What's that movie with Robin Williams where he plays the
Jack.
old guy? Jack. That's a great one too. But yeah, they don't make movies like that anymore. Bring them back.
Yeah,
especially you, because you've got a kid. How old's your oldest kid now?
6.
I mean, 6 more years you can watch these movies as they start putting them out again.
Yeah, but I don't know if 12-year-olds are going to the theaters anymore.
I see that. I feel like in the 90s, kids loved going to the theaters.
I think 12-year-olds are streaming everything now.
Yeah.
I think they're YouTubing on their computers. That was a very old man line of me.
That's okay. You are an old man.
YouTubing on their computers. God damn. Well, I know how to get out of that segment.
Now it's your favorite.
Yes, it is.
The Mount Rushmore of scenes.
Start at 4. We go to 1. You want me to start this week?
Of course, you're the virgin.
All right. My 4th favorite scene is the opening scene. You talked about it a little bit earlier. The opening shot of Schwarzenegger looking like a Tarantino shot where it's focusing on his feet for about 30 seconds.
Yep.
And he's walking over police cars.
Yep.
Oh, and then the anxiety-inducing sheriff. You didn't wait for one right there. Ah, we gotta go. No, you can't go in there. Fuck it.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it because I'm a badass.
Yep.
It took a minute and a half of this movie to tell you that Jack Slater's a badass.
What I really liked about that scene too, and I'm a massive metalhead, it starts with an Alice in Chains song.
Oh yeah.
And I love Alice in Chains. I'm of the opinion that Alice in Chains is the only band that did grunge correctly. Nirvana didn't do it like they should have. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains is the only one that did it correctly. You can fucking fight me.
What's your favorite Alice in Chains song?
Never Again.
Mine's Wood.
Okay.
Wood's good.
I also like
Wood's dark.
I also like Rain When I Die.
Rain When I Die.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch it. Rain When I Die is my favorite Alice in Chains
Rain
song.
When I Die is good.
Yeah.
Go check out Alice in Chains, you guys.
Incredible. And their new vocalist sounds so much like Lane Stanley. It's fucking gross.
R.I.P. Lane Staley.
Incredible vocalist. My 4th favorite scene was Schwarzenegger saving Danny and his daughter when Benedict showed up to his daughter's house.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That was awesome.
It was.
I loved Schwarzenegger coming through the roof, fucking shit up, and then cuts the wire off to an appliance and shoves it in this guy's stomach, and he shoots the guy in front of him because now he's being electrocuted. That was fucking amazing.
Taking the cigar from the dead guy.
Yep. Just jumping off the balcony. Gravity doesn't mean shit here.
Oh, no. It's an action movie.
And
an action movie satire.
And not only is it an action movie, we are inside of a movie.
Did you like the jiu-jitsu skills of his daughter?
I love the jiu-jitsu skills of his daughter. And of course, the daughter of Jack Slater is a certified badass.
Yeah.
She looks good, and she fights good.
Yeah, her jiu-jitsu skills were great. This was my 3rd favorite scene.
Okay.
Even afterwards, even when they go out and they're chasing Benedict, that's a great scene too. That's where we get the E.T. shot.
That's where we get the E.T. shot, and Danny's just like, this is going to work. It's an action movie. One of my favorite Danny scenes is him just playing chicken, and he's just like, oh my God, I'm the comic relief. The comic relief never works. This never works out for the comic relief. I thought that was so funny.
Hilarious.
My 3rd favorite scene is your 4th favorite scene.
Okay, the opening scene.
The opening scene.
Ripper, was that the...
Yeah, Ripper. I love that it was happening on Christmas too. Little Die Hard throwback, because the director of this movie is the director of Die Hard. One of my favorite parts of the scene, I counted them for us. Schwarzenegger pulled out 6 guns, 1 knife, and 1 grenade.
Oh, one really a grenade.
I know it wasn't a grenade.
But I got you.
Technically, it was 2 knives.
That's hilarious when he's pulling out that many guns. Hilarious.
Love that. Your second favorite scene?
My second favorite scene, this is where we cheat. This is the obligatory cheat scene of the movie for me.
Okay.
Anytime they are in or around the police station.
Okay.
It is fantastic.
The police station is fucking wild.
Where they're ordering out the partners and they're like, Mackenzie, you're with black and white. And it's like some noir detective that's all black and white. Or an animated cat.
Leica, you're with the rabbi.
Yeah, right. Oy vey.
and then I loved all of the police women.
What were they wearing?
It looked like they were in a sci-fi movie.
Yes.
And then the first time we see the police station, you get Schwarzenegger putting his ex-wife on the tape recorder.
That's great. That's a great scene. Now, I'm pretty sure you noticed Jason Patrick when they were walking into the police station the first time.
Of course.
The T-1000?
Yeah.
Did you notice the woman smoking a cigarette?
Of course I did.
Oh,
Sharon Stone.
God damn it.
We got a Basic Instinct throwback in this.
Someone who's on the Mount Rushmore of this podcast.
Yep.
Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone.
Makes a cameo, smoking a cigarette, looking fan-fucking-tastic.
Yep. And this is a year after her Basic Instinct movie.
Brought back memories.
It brought back incredible memories. Show us your dick, Michael Douglas! Son of a bitch.
Bit's not getting old, don't worry.
My second favorite scene, it's the funeral.
My first, so.
I love the funeral. I love that he pulled the finger to make Leo the fart.
That was the initiation, was pulling the finger.
Yeah.
That was great.
And that's a classic dad joke. I remember my dad telling me to pull his finger the first time. The first time it ever happened, my dad told me to pull his finger, and I pulled it, and just the most righteous fart reeked out of him. And it was incredible. And it brought back those memories. And I already mentioned what made me laugh more than anything was Schwarzenegger. I'm still alive. Get me out of here. This man's still alive. I need to get him out of here.
Somebody, where's a doctor?
Yeah, doctor. And then he knocks him out. And then of course it's a mafia funeral. So everybody, including all of the grandmas,
all the old Sicilian grandmas pulling submachine guns out of their purses.
It was incredible.
Can I tell you my favorite part of this, actually?
Of course. It's your number one scene.
When he told Danny to stay in the car.
Okay.
And Danny's like, no, bad things happen when they stay in the car. And he's like, all bad things happen when they get out of the car.
I think what he said is like, but if this is a movie, what happens if I tell you to stay in the car and you get out of the car? Oh yeah, I die. Fair.
And then he tells him there's a gun in the glove box, and he opens the glove box, and there's
20, 8 or 20, whatever. Something ridiculous. In a sleeve of bullets. It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, this scene is so absurd.
We get another one-liner from the scene. It's a no-fly zone, fella.
Now he's got a helicopter firing from one side and a whole group of Italian mobsters from the other. He's lying on the ground, not a scratch on him.
Why would there be? No, sir. My number one favorite scene, the car chase. Right when Danny enters the movie.
Oh, okay.
You had Megadeth's Angry Chair start that scene. I'm a huge Metallica fan, which means I'm a huge Megadeth fan. I have a Metallica tattoo. I worship that band. Megadeth is more metal. Dave Mustaine is one of the most metal motherfuckers that has ever walked this earth.
The score of this movie is great.
The score is incredible.
Even without the metal, there is constant music being played in this.
Yes.
It doesn't stop.
We get another one-liner. Iced that guy. Comb a phrase.
We get the most 90s product placement I've ever seen with the Coca-Cola truck.
The Coca-Cola and the Acme. The Acme Dynamite. Which I loved him just whipping the car on 2 wheels to grab the dynamite. Incredible.
This was really hard for me not to put on there. It was basically between this and that opening scene. They're both incredible.
Yeah.
What did you like? Did you like the first chicken scene?
Oh yeah, the first chicken scene. And that's how this scene ends. So this scene for me doesn't start with. I mean, I guess it does start with the Megadeth song because you also have the dynamite coming through the movie screen and Danny being like, Nick, and then dropping the popcorn and that putting the dynamite out. But yeah, the truck catching fire from just plain chicken was incredible. Because how does it catch fire? It shouldn't, but I didn't care. I loved it. You got our opening quote from this scene. So yeah, this was an easy number one for me.
And it ends with the driving off and the ridiculous legs sticking straight up in the dumpster.
That was my number two for things that made me laugh more than they should have. I'm surprised with how much you like car chases. I'm surprised this didn't make your top four.
It was really close. It was really close. I really liked those top three, and I always like a good opening scene to kind of set the movie.
Yeah.
And this does as good a job as any movie I've ever seen into this is what you're getting into.
Yes. And if it would have kept the same energy through the last 45 minutes, I think I might have an idea what you're going to rate this movie at the end, but I think you would have called this more than a good, bad movie if it would have kept that same energy.
Yes. Yeah. From the opening scene through really through the funeral, this movie's wild.
Yeah.
And then it really slows down and the tone changes.
Yeah.
Once they enter the real world, quote unquote.
Yeah. Couple honorable mentions. I think I might just have one actually. I really enjoyed the school scene.
Oh, yes, where he's imagining Arnold Schwarzenegger as Hamlet.
Yes. Before the Hamlet sequence, we're in the Sir Laurence Olivier version of Hamlet, the 1940 Laurence Olivier version of Hamlet in 1948 is shown to the class. The teacher is none other than Dame Joan Potwright, Olivier's third wife and widow. So another cameo that I didn't catch it till I was going through trivia, and I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that scene. Can I mention one thing here? I don't know why this just crossed my mind, but I've got to say it. I wanted a happier ending for Nick in this movie.
Nick had a good ending.
No, Nick needed to see Houdini or something.
I mean, but that wasn't really Nick's thing. Like, I think he just enjoyed that some kid that he really liked and had a connection with was able to experience this movie ticket.
Okay.
Like for me that was enough for Nick.
The gift of giving is better than receiving.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because he was very much he very much had a real connection with the kid. Like if there was one thing the real world really did right was that connection between Nick and the kid. Mm-hmm. But I understand what you're saying and I get where you're coming from. I just think that the movie achieved that.
Yeah, just give Nick a little bit of the ticket. Just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah, just
because you're right. Because for a second he was really excited. He was like, "I still have time. I had the biggest crush on this actor. I had the da-da-da-da-da."
I don't know why that came up right now. That's out of context, but I feel like I had to say it. Justice for Nick.
J-O-F. No, J-O-N. No, J-F-N.
Yep.
J-F-N. Justice for Nick. Mount Rushmore scenes. We had a lot of overlap. Of course we would, because the first hour and 15 minutes is the movie.
Right, and there's 6 scenes in the first hour and 15 minutes.
Yes. Man, we are blowing through this fucking movie.
It's great.
This movie's easy to talk about.
Breeze, yeah.
And for a 2-hour movie, even though the last 45 minutes changed its tone completely, it didn't feel like a 2-hour movie.
No, it really didn't.
It was a really brisk 2 hours.
It went by fairly quick. And Siskel and Ebert, they're probably right. It probably doesn't need to be 2 hours and 10 minutes for an action satire movie, but it didn't really bother me.
No. And and like I said, it didn't feel like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt like a 90-minute movie.
Maybe a little longer, but yeah, it didn't feel that long.
Yeah, fair. With our character breakdown, we have to start with the director.
Okay.
The director is incredible. It's John McTiernan.
Die Hard guy, right?
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman's first movie. He also did Predator with Schwarzenegger.
This will not be the last time we have a John McTiernan.
Correct. Because we're going to do Die Hard. We're going to do Predator. He also did Die Hard with a Vengeance. Man, this is the second week in a row we've had a Die Hard director. Because Deep Blue Sea did Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
That's right, yeah.
You've never seen this movie, but 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas is amazing.
Okay.
It's a Viking movie with Antonio Banderas.
Why is Antonio Banderas a Viking?
Because he just ended up in Scandinavia.
Okay.
Like, he plays a Spaniard.
Does he fuck a blonde?
I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen it. I'm excited to watch it. The thing that I remember the most of that movie is, one, the action and the violence, which was incredible. And two, he learns the Norse language by how people learn languages the best. There was no communication until he learned how to speak it.
Sure.
So he just sat around a fucking fire and on these boats until he could communicate.
All right.
And I have a family friend. That's how he learned Spanish. He moved down to Mexico, to a little small village in Mexico, and nobody spoke English. What are you going to do? You're going to fucking learn Spanish.
That's right.
The kid, Danny.
You like him? You liked him more than I did.
Yeah. Why didn't you like him?
The acting wasn't good enough. Just flat out. And that's like I said, that's really mean. Acting is hard. Acting is not easy. Expecting a 12-year-old to do it. I mean, would you have a 12-year-old weld up a metal table? No.
Probably not.
Why do we try to have 12-year-olds act? It's hard. It's hard. Some people can do it. Very few. Some can do it. Lindsay Lohan could do it. Macaulay Culkin could do it.
The kids in Stranger Things.
Yes, but it is extremely difficult, and it's not his fault. But it wasn't good enough.
I thought he did great in the acting realm. I believed how much he was into movies and why he was into them and why that fantasy was so real for him. I mean, his dad died. He's got a single mom that's working her fucking ass off, and all he can do is lose himself into movies. Like, for me, his character felt really real. And honestly, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was 9. My dad left when I was 12. Like, the only thing I had, and I mean, I had siblings. I'm the oldest out of 5 kids, and at that time, 3. For me, like, movies were my escape, movies and music. So on that sense, I connected with this kid when I watched this movie younger too.
Yeah, and you know, he's an only child and has a single mother. And on this podcast, we have one only child and one person raised by a single mother. You know, I wasn't born in New York City and couldn't go out in fear of getting mugged, right?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of which, that was a great scene.
It was.
Because you could even see it in his face. Like, I kind of wish that they would have done that little alternate parallel universe shot where it showed Danny taking the knife and getting rid of the guy out of his apartment, like the action movie star Jack Slater that he watches on screen.
That'd have been good.
I would have really enjoyed to see that. And then for it to go back to him getting handcuffed around the toilet. That's what I wanted out of that scene. Doing that in the scene would have made that scene so much better.
Sure.
Charles Dance, a.k.a. Benedict, but as we know him, the great Tywin Lannister.
One of the best bad guys in television history.
Without a doubt.
Oh, God, he's so good in Game of Thrones.
And he was good in this movie.
He was, yeah.
He radiates evil.
Yes.
And I love it.
Everyone else is funny, right?
Yes.
Essentially, everyone else in the maybe Danny's mom isn't, but pretty much everyone else, even the mob bosses, are funny. And Charles Dance has to play it deadpan straight. He does it, and I love huge guns. Why are huge guns so fucking funny?
Because they just are.
Okay.
And with his straight act or whatever, I loved him just getting so annoyed at all of the wrong terminology the mob boss says. He's like, fifth wheel, you fucking dumbass. Like, it's not fourth wheel.
There was another one that he got upset about.
Schmuck. There were 3 total.
Okay.
I only remember the fifth wheel. One happened the first time you meet him, like a slice of pie, and he goes, "Cake, you dumb schmuck." Like a slice of cake. And then the third one was whenever he was in the pool, and right before he shot the mob boss.
Yeah, there was something. It was the mob boss said "on" and it was supposed to be "in" or something like that. I don't remember. Whatever.
But I love that because it was so opposite of everything else in the movie, and it fit his character so much.
And when he realized he could change dimensions, if you will, and he like no change in his face whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I know what I got to do."
He was an incredible bad guy for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they could have had a better one. Actually, that's not true. They could have had one as equal, but we'll get to that later.
Alan Rickman?
Spoiler alert.
Is it Alan Rickman?
I'm not going to tell you.
So it's Alan Rickman.
I'm not fucking telling you. If it wasn't
Alan Rickman, you just said no. It's Alan Rickman.
I'm not telling you.
Keep going. What's the next character?
I know.
Yeah.
Jack fucking Slater.
I'm very proud of myself for not calling him Jack Reacher once in this movie or in this podcast. I would just like to say that, and I hope I don't jinx myself.
You probably just did.
Arnold's hilarious.
His comedic timing is so great in this movie.
Is this the best Arnold's ever looked in a movie?
You know, you asked that earlier when we were just talking about it or texting about it, and you know, movies come to mind: Conan the Barbarian, the first Terminator, the second Terminator, Predator, Eraser. Like all these movies come to mind, but none of those movies does his face look as good as in this movie.
The only one that's close to me is, I think, Terminator, the first one.
Yeah.
And yes, he's more muscular and probably more bodybuilding ready in some of his other movies. But like you said, he looks great. He's got on a leather jacket. He's got kick-ass boots. His face looks great.
Yeah, I don't know.
His hair looks great.
I don't know what it is with his face. Like, everything about his face looked so symmetrical and good. Like, this might be the best looking Schwarzenegger's ever been. And on top of that, he was fucking funny. He delivered his one-liners, all the action, everything.
He makes the movie.
Yeah. Without Schwarzenegger, this movie doesn't work.
No.
You don't do this with any action star. You don't do this with Van Damme. You don't do it with Stallone. You don't do it with Bruce Willis. You don't do it with Nick Cage, Steven Seagal, any of the guys that were action movies at that time.
This movie with Steven Seagal is the worst movie ever.
Yeah, this movie with Steven Seagal deserves the Razzie Award. This is a negative Steven Seagal podcast.
Hey.
It is.
As a person or an actor?
Both.
Nah. We're going to do Under Siege.
I'm not saying that Steven Seagal doesn't have a couple good ones, but all in all, it's a negative Steven Seagal podcast.
Okay.
You're not going to convince me otherwise.
All right.
But yeah, Under Siege is good.
Under Siege is awesome.
Yeah, Under Siege is good. I'm not even going to try to deny it. I mean, a clock's right twice a day.
That's right.
So.
All right.
All right. Now we're on to trivia and facts. BJ, I have so much trivia for this movie.
You've already went through some shocking trivia. And I don't know what you saved, other than I know Alan Rickman was supposed to play Charles Dance's character.
You don't know shit! So I have to start the trivia with guns, because we live in America, and America has the biggest hard-on for guns.
It's the Second Amendment, bro.
I know. And it's more important than women's rights. So we won't even get into that, but that's why I'm starting with fucking guns. These are the following guns in the movie. Slater uses a Desert Eagle 50 caliber Action Express. Benedict uses hand cannon. Benedict uses a custom Dan Wesson revolver 357 Magnum. Danny uses a Sig Sauer P230. Vivaldi uses a Wather PK custom engraved. Criminals throughout the movie use an MP5K PDW, an M3A1 grease gun, and an N-Track TEC-9 submachine guns. Slater, as Hamlet, switches from a Mac 11 to an MP5K, and some person named Van in the movie uses a short-barreled minigun. Whitney, Slater's daughter, uses a Colt Python 357 Magnum, and the SWAT member uses a Colt Commando.
That was a lot of guns in this movie.
Yes. And they all did their fucking jobs. In this movie, the characters are able to enter and leave the movie world via a magic ticket, which is credited to famous stage illusionist and escapetionist Harry Houdini. I put this trivia in for you because you hate magic.
I hate magicians.
Whatever. Magicians perform magic, so you hate magic. Fucker.
Because it's not real.
However, in real life, Houdini was firmly opposed to the idea of supernatural powers and spent his time debunking fake spiritualists and phony mediums.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Houdini was an OG.
The real one, baby.
Yep. So when Sharon Stone cameoed as Catherine Trammell, her brief cameo was somewhat surprising because she and Arnold actually clashed on the set of Total Recall. She was reluctant to do the cameo, but did it as a favor to Schwarzenegger, who reminded her that Total Recall helped her career.
Yeah, okay. All right. And Sharon Stone gets mad at people, but she seems to get over it. Because she had the tiff with the director in
Basic Instinct, yeah. Which is, for a woman in Hollywood, which over the past 5 years we know has been horrible, that says a lot for her.
Yeah.
Like, good on Sharon Stone. And I'm not saying you need to forgive people that rape you or sexually harass you. That's not what I'm saying. But Sharon Stone, good on you for, like...
standing your ground.
Standing your ground and also being an adult and moving past stuff. Because we also came into that with First Blood. Because Stallone got into it with the director of First Blood. And got the shit kicked out of him by a couple security guards. So, I love when people can be adults. Like, we're all working...
Right, we're all going to get mad at times.
Yeah, we're all very passionate about our jobs. Yes. But you're right, Total Recall did help my career. I'll do this for you.
Sure.
In addition to the number of references to Lethal Weapon, the Asian thug who dies by the ice cream cone had played the thug who tortured Riggs in Lethal Weapon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The AC/DC song Big Gun was specifically written for this movie after Schwarzenegger personally approached the group and asked them to write a song for it.
How cool is that?
I would love being a celebrity for shit like that.
So what's cooler? Being Arnold and being able to approach AC/DC to write a song for you, or being AC/DC and have Arnold approaching you to write a song for him?
Or being Tom Cruise and calling Bono, Springsteen to wear a shirt. I'm gonna say AC/DC for Schwarzenegger asking them to write a song for him.
Oh yeah,
because from what I understand, celebrities are still awestruck by other celebrities, and I can only imagine AC/DC being like, Schwarzenegger wants a song from us, and we are the metal band that he came to.
In AC/DC, they're probably not starstruck by Bono or Jimmy Page or someone like that because they're in the music industry.
Sure.
They probably know all those guys. But they probably hadn't met Schwarzenegger before.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Just after Frank's house explodes, the Black Cop says 2 days to retirement as a nod to Roger Murdaugh from the Lethal Weapon franchise. At this point, a soundtrack excerpt from the Lethal Weapon theme plays in the background.
I caught that, yeah.
Did you?
I caught that, yeah. Oh, speaking of that, we didn't bring this up. His vengeance is for his favorite second cousin.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up in the trivia.
Okay, we had
it was fucking great. When Danny is arguing with Jack Slater over checking to see if Benedict is dead after the two play chicken, he makes a reference to a villain in Die Hard, which, as we talked about, is also directed by McTiernan, who comes back at the end of the movie after being presumed dead. Shortly afterwards, a soundtrack excerpt from the Die Hard theme plays in the background too.
I did not catch that one.
I didn't either.
I caught the Lethal Weapon one. I didn't catch the Die Hard.
And Die Hard's my favorite action movie.
Yeah, but that Lethal Weapon little bass line is really cool.
Yes.
And real distinct.
And Die Hard's my favorite action movie because it was one of my first ones. And it changed the tone for action movies. It made it possible for there to be two kinds. The one with your Schwarzeneggers and the one with your Bruce Willises.
Right.
So, Jack Slater, when trying to pose as Arnold Schwarzenegger in the real world, keeps getting the name wrong and calling himself Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I enjoyed that.
I did too. You're going to enjoy this trivia then. The first part of Arnold's real name, Schwartz, means black in German, while the first part of his wrong name, Braun, means brown in German. Also, a Braunschweiger is a type of liverwurst named in Braunschweig or Brunswick, Germany. In the German dub, he calls himself Arnold Beckenbauer, or meaning pool builder, which creates additional comedy since it is also the name of one of Germany's most famous soccer players. So, a little trivia that Schwarzenegger put in because he's Austrian. Love that.
Good for, yeah.
In one scene, Jack says to Danny regarding his ex-wife, "Do you think I would marry someone so stupid that doesn't know the real voice from a taped one?" In Schwarzenegger's very next movie, True Lies, he uses a tape to fool his wife.
Yeah, he does. I can't wait for the True Lies podcast.
I'm excited for that one, too.
I think that's my favorite Schwarzenegger movie, actually. No. Terminator 2 is.
Yeah, I mean, Terminator 2 is all-time great.
But True Lies is number 2.
Yeah, and a close 2. Relative to how good Terminator 2 is.
Because we've already professed our love for Jamie Lee Curtis on this podcast.
Yes. And it's rock hard. Shortly before Benedict discovers the magic ticket's power, he turns on the television to George Burns and the Gracie Allen Show. And this one's for me. This is appropriate considering George often broke the fourth wall, which basically is what this movie is about. It's a little foreshadowing.
Am I supposed to know that show?
No, but it's foreshadowing if you knew the show. Okay. Just like the Lethal Weapon theme song.
Yeah, I didn't know the show. Okay.
I didn't either, but I thought it was cool.
You love foreshadowing.
I fucking love foreshadowing. This is gnarly. Filming continued until the week before the movie debuted in theaters.
What?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. They were doing reshoots a week before they put this movie in theaters?
Yeah. They should not have released this a week after Jurassic Park for so many reasons. I would think...
This is not the least of which.
I would think number 2 would be it was still doing reshoots a week before it came into theaters. The movie ran so far behind schedule that they had just one test screening, which ran for 2 hours and 20 minutes with a lot of inaudible dialogue, boring the audience. The studio refused to delay the opening so as to not send the message the movie was in trouble, a decision wrongly that Schwarzenegger agreed with. And he was a producer in this movie. I think he should have pulled the producer card and made it wait.
I do too. You have to. You can't. And we were doing reshoots a week ago. We're not releasing this movie.
Yeah, and I'm sure in hindsight, he feels that way too.
Yeah.
John McTiernan said this movie began as a wonderful Cinderella story with a 9-year-old boy and a pretty good script, but the movie didn't end as it began, referring to the movie's troubled production and the fact that it opened in theaters a week after Jurassic Park. After its failure, McTiernan retreated to his house in Wyoming and took a break from his career.
I want to retreat to a house in Wyoming and take a break from my career.
No fucking shit.
But I didn't direct Die Hard either, so...
Nope, me neither. The fact that Jack Slater was out to avenge the death of his second cousin Frank in Jack Slater 6.
4.
I thought it was 6.
IV, right?
Yeah, IV.
That's 4.
Okay, 4. Was an intentionally ridiculous element. The idea that having gone through so many epic conflicts with supervillains that got increasingly personal during the first 3 movies, undoubtedly a nod to many 70s and 80s action movies that had "this time it's personal" as a tagline, Slater was left to battle the mob due to the death of a very minor character. It would also allow the Danny character to start listing the flaws of Jack Slater movies as well as how they were running out of good ideas. A satire element.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
The movie's disappointing box office result has been contributed to the fact that fans of Schwarzenegger did not appreciate their hero effectively spoofing himself, as well as the action genre that made him great. However, time apparently seems to have made audience much kinder to this movie and its type of self-aware humor. Schwarzenegger's next movie, True Lies, which had a more subtle form of self-parody, did much better critically and financially, as did The Expendables in 2010, The Expendables 2 and 12, and The Expendables 3 and 14, where Schwarzenegger parodied some of his famous trademarks.
Are you going to give us your thoughts on Expendables 3 again?
Have I done it on the pod already?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Other than the fact that I was really fucking upset that it was PG-13.
Oh, I loved that this movie was PG-13.
I did too. It worked for this movie, but The Expendables 3, the first two were rated R.
Okay.
They didn't need to make the third PG-13.
This one needed to be rated PG-13.
It did, because it's geared towards preteen boys.
Yeah.
And not all moms let preteen boys watch PG-13 movies. And I know this because my fucking mother at Movie Gallery in Mineola, Texas, would not let me rent Blue Crush with Michelle Rodriguez, who I had a massive crush on.
I still have a massive crush on Michelle Rodriguez.
Because Vin Diesel grabbed her ass in her leather pants and pulled her up onto himself in the first Fast and the Furious movie. And she was so fucking hot in that movie. And in that movie, she had a fucking bikini on because it was a surfing movie. And this cocksucker that worked at Movie Gallery told my mom that this was a PG-13 movie for older people, not younger people. So my mom wouldn't let me get it. Fuck you, Movie Gallery guy. I'm still upset about it.
I can tell. I would be too. Of course, like I said, I was like 8, and my parents were like, "Oh, let's watch Basic Instinct together."
Well, and had I been at my dad's house, I'd have got Blue Crush. Fuck Movie Gallery guy, and fuck my mom.
And Michelle Rodriguez, you rock.
You fucking rock, girl.
You know she's a host of a show called Getaway Driver?
I'll watch it just because of her. In fact, characters becoming aware of their own movie conventions became a big thing in Scream in '96.
Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, but that wasn't until 2001.
Okay.
Danny's observation that villains often make the mistake of laying out their entire plan in a lengthy monologue was effectively reused in The Incredibles in 2004.
Like, that's the Roger Ebert talking killer fallacy.
This movie was ahead of its time. That's why people didn't like it. I stand by that.
Okay.
Jack driving away into the sunset and waving goodbye is a nod to the Western genre, which the heroic cowboy rides away into the sunset after resolving a crisis in a town. Schwarzenegger had starred in a Western called The Villain in 1979 as Handsome Stranger. It is his only Western.
I can't imagine Schwarzenegger in a Western.
I can't either. But I mean, honestly, with how many immigrants became cowboys along with African Americans.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But you don't see that in Western movies.
No. And the reason I really can't see, and the reason I can't see Schwarzenegger as a Western actor is because I can't see that big motherfucker on the back of a horse.
That would have to be a strong ass horse.
That's a Tennessee Walker.
That's right. That's a big old horse.
That's a fucking huge horse. The body count of this movie, 83 people.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
I love it. So my Schwarzenegger trivia. Schwarzenegger considered this movie his first real failure after an unbroken string of success. He also considers it the beginning of the end of his movie career.
Yeah, but also he knew what age he was getting at. And he knew it was time to get away from the action stuff. But
I think if he just would have let this, I think as a producer, if he would have waited for this movie to come out, it wouldn't have been the beginning of the end.
You're right. It should not have won a Golden Raspberry.
Yeah.
It should not have been a box office failure. The budget was super high, but it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. Schwarzenegger thought the script was one of the best he'd ever read. He especially liked all the elements of comedy, action, drama, and satire in it. And you were right. Yeah. Thanks, Arnold.
Yeah.
I just wish you would have just pushed it back a little bit.
This movie, I think, has a completely different reputation.
Mm-hmm. Schwarzenegger wanted this movie to be PG-13 so it would appeal to a broader audience. Being executive producer for the first time in his career, he approved the script, director, cast, studio financing, distribution, marketing, budget, PR firm, planning a foreign release, etc. Schwarzenegger enjoyed the added responsibility because he could be involved in every facet of production. The merchandising people came up with some Jack Slater action figures with guns. Schwarzenegger vetoed the idea because this movie was a warmer, more cuddly action movie. Merchandising including 7 video games.
7?
Yeah, 7 video games. And I want to play them. I bet they're really fun. So 7 video games, a $20 million Burger King promotion, a $36 million theme park ride, NASA's first paid ad in space, and a 4-story inflatable Jack Slater at Cannes Movie Festival. Schwarzenegger gave 40 television interviews and 54 print interviews in 24 hours, setting a new personal record. Yeah, a new personal record.
He just wanted to get that shit done with.
I don't know if he wanted to get it done with, or he felt this movie needed to go out when it went out. Because this trivia really hammers home how much they put into pre-production and promotion.
That's space ad.
Right? NASA's first. Last action hero.
It's the most Elon Musk thing I've ever heard.
All right, Charles Dance trivia.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Alan Rickman, we know.
Shut the fuck up and let me do it. I'm the trivia guy, not you, goddammit.
I'm the trivia guy.
Charles Dance said in interviews that after being told he had won a part turned down by Alan Rickman
yes, sir!
Because of the salary, he wore a t-shirt on set which read, quote, "I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman."
I want that shirt.
That's why I wanted you to shut the fuck up. A shirt that says I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman. That's fucking great.
I want that shirt.
Yes.
Do we have a merch store yet?
We need one.
Okay.
And that needs to be on it.
All right.
Charles Dance replaced Timothy Dalton as Benedict. I guess Timothy Dalton took it before, right after Alan Rickman turned it down. Had this not happened, this would have been the second of 2 movies with Dalton and Frank McRae. The first was License to Kill in '89.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tim Curry was also considered for the role of Benedict. I think he could have done good.
Okay.
Tim Curry in the early 90s was really hitting it.
All right.
You had him in the Three Musketeers. You had him in It. You had him in before the 90s Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think Tim Curry could have done a good job.
Okay.
It would have been different.
Sure.
But I think he would have been good.
It would have been a much funnier bad guy with Tim Curry.
Yes. And my last 2 bits of trivia. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Charles Dance appeared in The Mystery of Dragon Seal, The Journey to China in 2019.
No idea what that is.
I don't either, but I want to watch it. I 100% want to watch it, and I want to do it on this fucking pod, because I bet it's great. It's called The Mystery of Dragon Seal, The Journey to China. And that's 2 white guys.
Yeah, there's going to be some cultural appropriation in that movie.
Of course.
I can guarantee it.
So the same year this movie came out, Dragon Seal, the Journey to China, Schwarzenegger went on record saying in 2019 that he was down to do Last Action Hero 2 and True Lies 2.
Oh, man.
I'm fucking down.
Let's do some studio pick this up, please.
Please. I want those 2 movies, and I want them now. And so does Schwarzenegger, and I guarantee you so does Jamie Lee Curtis.
Can she wear the same pink power suit she wore in Knives Out?
Either that or the yoga outfit she wears in Perfect.
Everyone listening to this should Google the trailer for Perfect with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta. It looks incredible.
It is as incredible as you think it is.
And let us know. Let us know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, if you think we should do that movie or not.
RMFT Pod. Follow us. That's my trivia and facts.
That was good. Sorry I ruined the Alan Rickman thing for you. I still think it's funny.
Oh, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was a good bit. That's for fucking sure.
I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman.
Movie impersonations.
You know what?
Unfortunately, it's 2 white guys yet again impersonating a black guy. And to date, we have not done this right.
No. But
and honestly, I don't think we ever will. I think this will be the closest we ever get to being it right, because all we have to do is yell.
Okay. You figured out, you guys have figured out what we're doing, right?
Yeah, we're doing the police chief.
All right. So I've been killing it here lately.
You have. And I've been not killing it.
Do you want the opportunity to go first?
No.
Okay.
I always want to go second.
All right.
He's standing up, everybody.
Yeah, because he stands up every time he's yelling. God damn it, Slater! I ain't breathing down my neck. I got the mayor calling me. You're blowing up fucking buildings every 2 months. You're blowing up stuff. Everything's blowing up. You know how much you cost this city? Hey, boy, your left-hand tire's running low. You need to get a pit stop. Apparently now I'm doing a NASCAR pit chief crew here. And do I hear 100, 200, 300? I hear 300. Now I'm doing an auctioneer. And sold. Wow. The auctioneer was really key to your impersonation. That was incredible. That's all I got. I'm also standing up. This is the first time I've ever stood up because BJ's right. This guy stands up every time he yells. Slater, how is it every time you go out you bullshit up? Yeah, every time you go out you just bullshit up. You cost so much money. LA doesn't have enough money to do what you gotta do. You kill the bad guys, but you can't keep killing the bad guys and bullshit up. Oh my god, I can't even stand it. I'm fucking losing it. Woo! I don't know why you got a Ric Flair yell there, but I gave you one. Nature boy, baby. Woo! Woo! Yours was better. I really like how you ended it with the auctioneer. That was quality. I didn't want to culturally appropriate our impersonation, so it went from the sheriff, the captain, to a NASCAR pit chief to an auctioneer. Because good lord, that dude talked fast in this movie. 100% he did. Ratings and final thoughts. Jacob, you loved this movie. I did. What do you rate it? And I do. So, when I got done watching this movie last night, I rated it a 10 out of 10. Okay. It doesn't deserve a 10 out of 10 because of the last 45 minutes. So, my final rating for this movie and my rating on IMDb is a 9. For the pod, though, it's a 9.2. Okay. If the ending of this movie wasn't what it was, it would be a 10. If it kept the same energy it had throughout the whole movie, it would be a straight up 10 out of 10 for me. But it really fell short in the last 45 minutes. And I can't give it those extra 0.8 points. This is our second breaking down the fourth wall movie. We did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yep. You seem to prefer these movies much more than I do. Yeah. So our last episode was Deep Blue Sea, another good bad movie that I liked more than this. You like Deep Blue Sea more than this movie? I like Deep Blue Sea more than this movie, yes. I did not. And so this movie's almost perfect for me. I gave Deep Blue Sea a 7.2. I liked it more. Not a lot more, but more. So I'm going to give it a 6.9. And that's fair because you said the same thing about Deep Blue Sea. It's a good bad movie. It's a good bad movie. Yeah. It's in that realm. It's combining Deep Blue Sea and Jay and Silent Bob in the weirdest way possible. Yeah. And yeah, so I'm pretty comfortable with that rating. 6.9 is honestly what it probably should be. Because like we said many times in this pod, not all ratings are created equal. Right. And my 9.2 obviously isn't like The Departed. Right, which is probably going to get a similar score. Yes. But it's clearly a way better movie. Yes. And you're falling in love with this movie when you were the age of Danny. Correct. It is a huge difference. And the first time you popped your cherry to this movie was at the ripe age of 33. 34. 34, excuse me. I had a birthday recently. You did. We did Bull Durham. I'm a Cancer. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You're a fucking Cancer. Shut the fuck up. What stones do you have in your pocket right now, too, for your energy geologist? None. Fucker. I got 2 stones between my legs. My new favorite meme was I call my testicles Wonkas because they're right in between a chocolate factory and a Willy. Yep. I fucking love that.
I think those are fair ratings from the both of us.
Yeah, and like I said, you seem to really like the breaking down of the fourth wall.
I do.
Way
lot.
more than I do.
Yeah. What's that Steve Carell movie that they break down the fourth wall with Margaret Robbie? Because you enjoyed the fuck out of that. It's about the housing crisis in 2008.
Oh, no, I've seen it. Big Short.
The Big Short. You enjoyed the breaking of fourth wall a lot in that movie.
Sure. But it's like they do it occasionally. The whole movie's not a breaking
down.
Well,
and when they break down the fourth wall in that movie, they're educating the viewer about what's happening. So it's a different kind of breaking down the fourth wall, too.
Adam McKay directed movie.
Yes. Really good one. Should they remake it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was about to interrupt you. My answer is yes. The only actor who could be in the titular role is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
100%. Because can you imagine when a kid? Because Dwayne Johnson's down to do kid movies.
100% he is.
And when the kid tells him his name is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he looks at him and he says, "My middle name's The Rock."
Yep.
That would be hilarious.
And I honestly think, and as much of a selfish, self-absorbed prick that Vince McMahon is about the rights he has on wrestlers, I think he would allow the remake of Last Action Hero for Dwayne Johnson to use The Rock.
And here's the other thing I'm picturing in this movie. He does the rock bottom on somebody.
Fuck yeah, he does.
The kid says...
You can't call him The Rock without the rock bottom.
The kid says, "You just pulled the rock bottom." And he has no fucking idea what the kid's talking about.
Of course not.
That is awesome.
Yes. So yes, remake this movie. Put Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Jack Slater.
Yeah. And have him do a rock bottom on somebody.
Yep.
Maybe even a people's elbow, too.
And bring back the movies that are geared towards preteen males.
Okay, yeah.
Do it. Anything you do to make this movie better.
Ugh.
We already touched on this. You'd put the real life stuff at the beginning of the movie, but I don't know how
you do that. Maybe you start going back and forth between movie realm, real world earlier, and you kind of go back and forth a little more. But just the last 45 minutes doesn't live up to the first hour 20.
And I don't see how you
10.
I don't see how you do it, because through that whole first hour and 15 minutes, when Danny makes it into the movie, it's explaining to Jack Slater that it's a movie. And had all that not happened, you couldn't have done the real life sequences because he wouldn't have understood it. So I don't know how you do it, but even if you don't do it that way, the second half of this movie has to be different in some way.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know what you do to make it happen, but that's how it has to be to make this movie better. And honestly, that's the only thing you can do to make this movie better. Because this movie was already perfect. Because like we've already talked about, if the last 45 minutes had the same energy that the first hour and 15 did, you'd have given it more than a 6.9.
Over an 8.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Don't know how you do it, but it needs to be done.
Right.
And if you remake it with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that has to be the main focus.
Roman Reigns is starring in Fast 5 in the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson remake.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because Roman Reigns is awesome. I need Shawn Michaels in the movie. I need Sweet Chin music. You think I'm cute.
I know I'm sexy.
God damn it.
That's not the best wrestling intro song, though.
Best wrestling intro song.
Eddie Guerrero. I lie, I steal, I cheat.
Ooh, going old school with Eddie Guerrero.
I'm old. I'm 34, man.
I mean, I would have gone with the glass breaking from Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I think you might be right with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
But the glass break with Stone Cold is such nostalgia. When I hear it, I get a little semi.
Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Which is why I would have picked his intro music, but I think you may be right.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero. And with a close second, if I'm taking Stone Cold's intro music out, is Triple H's "The Game" by Motorhead.
Yeah.
But I'm a
metalhead.
I'm a certified metalhead.
Lemmy's is awesome.
Lemmy's a certified badass.
There's a lot of wrestling content we just put in this podcast.
That's okay.
I don't know if people are interested. I don't care.
I don't care.
This podcast is for us.
I like
We've said it before.
Yep.
Jacob, read me the IMDb reviews. Give me some good ones. Give me some bad ones. Let me know what people thought of this.
There were incredible IMDb reviews.
This seems like a movie that would justify both high and low incredible reviews.
And they were all incredible. I loved every fucking one of them. And it took me a while to pick the ones that I was going to use. So my 10 out of 10 review comes from Raptor Claw 5.
Kick-ass name.
Yeah. You can be on this pod just by your name, but after I read this review, BJ's going to agree that you can be on this pod outside of your name, my man. I can't believe I rated this an 8 in 2012. Yes, it was 8 then. And yes, it is a 10 now. Why? Because times have changed. I'm older. The movie is older, and it is a good movie. I now understand what it's going for. The movie is a satire for all 80s movies and still manages to pump up good dialogue and good action. It's like the Chuck Norris of Chuck Norris films.
We have our second t-shirt of the episode.
Yep, Chuck Norris of Chuck Norris films. You even have Terminator cameos. How fun is that?
Very.
Yes, this movie is a 10 for what it is. An unapologetic, witty, funny, and hilarious pentagram for what 80s, 90s action flicks were all about. Do you remember Terminator? Do you remember Alien, Predator, Dirty Harry, Commando, and Rambo? If so, this movie is for you. If not, scroll up.
Yeah, Raptor Claw 5. You're welcome on.
You heard it.
We can do True Lies with Raptor Claw 5.
Let's do True Lies and Raptor Claw 5. Raptor Claw 5, you hear this? You hit us up for True Lies, my friend. Now for my 1 out of 10 review.
Oh, no.
From, I don't even know how to pronounce this, SYZYGY1121.
Who cares?
Yeah. I just want to give this guy credence.
Okay.
1 out of 10. Titled 99 Bottles of Beer, Not a Long Enough Song.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It makes no sense for the review.
Okay.
Words cannot define the atrocity of watching this movie. It was like being handcuffed to a tree while wild dogs snap at you. Should I laugh? Should I just lie perfectly still and hope it ends? Should I just run away? Should I take this time to balance my checkbook? What I must have done in a former life to deserve such punishment must have been severe. Or just maybe I am just that gullible for believing that HBO actually shows any other movies ever.
What's he digging at HBO for? What'd they have to do with this?
I guess in 2004 they had it on.
Okay. Yeah, HBO doesn't care. They'll do shitty movies. They'll do good movies. They'll put whatever.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin was on HBO.
Yeah.
Sucked. It didn't suck.
I mean, it did suck, but it was still fun to watch.
Yeah.
It sucking and it being fun to watch are not the same thing. All right, so the question of the pod: should people watch this movie? And before you answer, I'm going to answer for me. If you do not like action movies, you should not watch this movie. But if you like action movies in any capacity, watch this movie.
If you like making fun of action movies, watch this movie. Because that's what it's doing. The entire movie is making fun of action movies.
Okay.
But you do have to have a certain level of understanding.
Yes.
The Lethal Weapon theme after the 2 days for retirement line. Yeah, an understanding helps, but you don't take it seriously. It's a satire, and it does a really good job of making fun of action movies.
I mean, honestly, just like horror movies, if you can't watch an action movie that makes fun of itself, what are you doing? So if you like, and that's why I'm saying if you like action movies, watch this movie. Because if you're watching action movies and you can't enjoy them making fun of themselves, just like horror movies make fun of themselves, what are you doing?
I agree with you.
So, yeah, watch this movie. Enjoy it. And watch the remake with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Because it's going to happen.
Thank you guys for making it this far in the podcast. Don't forget to follow us on all of our socials at IRMFTpod for I Remember My First Time. If you want to get caught up for next week's episode, it's the classic Twister. That's right. Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Jamie Gertz, Philip Seymour Hoffman is hilarious. So get caught up on that movie and join us next week for Twister.